Welcome to this episode of Preeminence Rising and Mistress of Change, brought to you by the House of Preeminence. I am your host, Jenny P. And my guest is somebody who is so important for you heart-led, soul-led change makers to meet at this time when we are trying to fathom out what our great missions mean, how we can earn the resources and gather the resources needed to make the big changes we want to. And my guest today is somebody I have known for many, many years, since my last magazine, in fact, 10 years. She didn't know me, but I knew her. And I've practically tracked her down. She is somebody that I have watched from afar from a very long time, and having been on the leading edge of what makes conscious business, what's an ethical business, what do fit women entrepreneurs need to hear and do right now. She is really a light in that. I'm going to just give you a few of the rave reviews that she's got, because she is known as the wealthy goddess. She has been called, among other things, a spiritual growth ballbuster. She's been called kick-ass Kendra, a transformation guide of epic proportions. She's been called a shamanic business coach, refreshingly honest, uniquely soulful, and direct. And she is the premier coach for heart-centered evolutionary leader women. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome Kendra E Thornbury.
Oh, thank you, Jenny. It's so good to be here with you and your amazing audience. What an honor.
Okay, so we're going to dive into all things that our beautiful heart-led, soul-led, evolutionary, visionary leaders, women need to hear today. So take us a little bit back to the trajectory that's given you this longevity. That because when I first met you 10 years ago, when I first knew of you, and I was moving in the circles of transformational leaders who were working with soul and spirit and the earth, and you've been one of those people who has not only stood the course and the test of time, but blossomed more and more into your unique self. And why do I say that? Is because, and this is really interesting, we were talking about it a couple of minutes ago, it's because I tuned into the fact that you were somebody who was incredibly linked to the earth, to feminine cycles, to Gaia, to humanity, to feminine mysteries, to everything that is earthy. So talk to us about the trajectory, Kendra, and what is it that has taken you from that passion to now being such a premier inspiration?
Oh, thank you. What a great question. And you spoke so beautifully to elements that weave into where I find myself today. As a little girl, I have very few memories, but some that shine through, that still are carried with me to this day, are the sensations and the awe that I felt being in nature. I grew up in Minnesota near the Mississippi River, and I remember, biking to the river. It was not too far from my home. And I remember going down into the river and into the woods and being in what felt like this wonderland. And there was a familiarity, a knowing, as well as a great reverence that I felt early on. And I could feel the aliveness that was afoot, in the elements. So yeah, it's been an integral part, my experience with the earth, with nature, to my success and to my mission. And so moving forward in the timeline, I've always been someone who's geared towards and inclined towards service. And early in my career, I worked in nonprofit and advocacy for people with developmental disabilities. And from there, when I pursued my master's degree, I was very, I would say I was almost obsessed, right? In the best way possible. Like I'm a personal growth junkie, if you will, because I'm so intrigued by, those who live in an extraordinary life versus those who accept, a standard that I think is just below what we were destined for, what we were born for. So I really immersed myself in the study during that time of, what it takes to fulfill the greatness that I know that we're all here for. And, I that's when I became a coach, and I studied organizational development and team performance and all that goodness. And for a while, I called myself a business hobbyist, right? The kind of entrepreneur that's like always getting ready to put yourself out there. And I was a workshopaholic, and I was, studying this and that, and really immersing myself in experience to heal and to come into who my soul, I believe, destined me to be. I did vision quests and sweat lodges, and I was really graced with an incredible mentor who's been influential over 20 years of my life. And she introduced me to the women's mysteries, really opened me up to the mystery, the power of the feminine that's been beneath the surface, that's been suppressed, that's been oppressed in myself, in all women, and on this planet. So the reclamation of the feminine has been a study of mine personally, and in the work that I do with women. And, there was a turning point in my life, Jenny, where I traveled internationally to Nigeria, Africa. And that was a very influential time, because I had been in that stage, that transitional stage of, I'm going to quit my job and start being my own boss, for quite a number of years. And it took me going to another country and experiencing a level of poverty and corruption that I knew that was happening on this planet, but to be on the soil of the earth and to see the children and the families, and I was in a region where it's we're the fifth richest region of oil, and so the corporations had gone in and extracted these natural resources. I mean, to be honest, it just cracked me open, and I returned to America feeling very humbled and very moved and turned inside out. And I knew that any hangups that I had about my own failures were just ego. Any preconceived notion about, am I going to succeed in business, or, people going to like me when I market, all that stuff. It was just like, get over yourself, Kendra. That was the message from Africa. Just get over yourself. And so I took the leap. And, as far as the word longevity, I love that you asked that. I believe it is the roots that I have and the dedication that I have to life on earth, what is good, what is true, what is beautiful. And I'm tenacious. I'm not going to let it go. I know what I'm here for, and I stay steady. I stay rooted in the cause before us, which is awakening and to help usher in a new earth that truly is prosperous for every being, no person left behind. So I've got a big vision, and I'm glad to be here with you to collaborate, to bring our forces together to make it happen. So I'll pause there and pass it back to you.
Yeah. So in this new paradigm, when women are feeling more than ever before a need for sisterhood, that their missions suddenly count. Particularly, I've noticed this in the, coaches and consultants and people helpers, those who've been kind of on the sidelines or in the shadows for quite some years, just doing good work, just doing really, really good work, you know, attached to their missions, it feels like something's shifted, and they want to, like every woman wants to rise, because they're suddenly realizing how important their role is in this humanity healing process. But they still haven't figured out the equation of what that looks like in their business, and you know, and how to give themselves the resources to power forward. Gosh, that frustrates me so much.
Yes.
So, and to talk to us about this link with the femininity and the feminine principle, and her, the feminine principles, different approach to receiving and generating wealth.
Ooh, such a good topic. And I'm with you in the frustration of so many talented women, as you said, ready to shine, ready to rise, ready to take the stand of what you're here for, and not feeling resourced in the optimal ways, and including, of course, let's just say it, money, right? And I too have had that course in my life. And when I was doing my own healing and my own reweaving of myself, rewiring of myself, one of the things that what I discovered is that I was really bought into the conditioning that runs very deep for women around our wealth, which is connected to our worth. It's connected to our core sense of our value. It's connected to our sense of security, all qualities of which rise forward and shine quite beautifully through the feminine principle of life. So when the feminine is oppressed, it's no wonder that our wealth feels repressed. I have also encountered and worked with many women who do feel resourced in the sense of money, who make a lot of money, but they feel a sense of a void or an emptiness. Or, you know, I have some clients come to me that's like, okay, you know, I feel like I've cracked the code in some regards. You know, I make multiple six figures plus, but I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm authentically giving my contribution. I'm following a very formulaic step by step, and I'm not in it. So one of my favorite mantras at the beginning of my business, which, you know, is still in me, but I don't need to say it every day that I used to, is that I get to be paid to be me. I get to serve and receive in the exchange of contribution and the reward of having everything needed and necessary to fund my lifestyle, to fund my mission on this planet. And that was revolutionary for me for quite some time, because the conditioning that I spoke to earlier was a very either or paradigm. And so a lot of us are indoctrinated into this: either you're broke and you live in lack and you're spiritual, right? Or you have a lot, but you're greedy and you're egoic. So my path has been very much about reweaving and bridging the both and reality, that indeed I can be wealthy. I am wealthy and I prosper well, and I am highly spiritual. So when I got back from Africa, you know, that was a big part of the unlearning process that I embarked upon, because being spiritual in my business was a very high value for me. I don't know how to feel free and leave the sacred behind, right? And so I had this equation of, oh no, if I'm going to make money in business, I'm going to have to, you know, forego my spirituality. But, you know, to your question before about my longevity and the blossoming that's continued, the more I'm me, the more money I make. The more I honor the feminine principles of life, allow the greater she, the greater her to move through me, to breathe through my business, to inform me of my content and how to serve women, the more wealthy and rich and the more resourced I am. And so I'd love to highlight, we can get into the more specifics if that would be helpful, but I'll pause there for now to see if you want to chime in.
Yeah, I'd love to go into the specifics, and then there's something I'd like to pick up on that you mentioned, but just let's go with the specifics now.
Yeah.
Women are so hungry for, what do I do next?
Yeah. What do I do next? Oh, okay. Well, so what I wanted when I was speaking to the specific, one of the qualities that I want to highlight of the feminine that has contributed to longevity is dedication. And, when we are building our businesses, whatever juncture you're at, whether you consider you're a newbie or you consider yourself quite advanced and seasoned in the path, we're always evolving. And, to me, business is about evolving out loud and getting paid for it. And so, when we're looking at, how do I brand, what copywriting do I use so that I stick out in the marketplace, all of this lingo that we use in the industry. What I've returned to, and what I over and over and over again, and what I encourage you all to play with, is what am I dedicated to? And, the feminine is highly dedicated. She's dedicated to giving birth to life. She's dedicated to being the mother archetype that embraces you in love. She's dedicated to being the high priestess who accepts nothing less than the beauty and the truth of life. I mean, so we could go on and on. And so to me, weaving dedication into our business models, it's very practical because it keeps you focused, it keeps you on task, it helps you know what to say yes to, what to say no to, who you are destined to serve. I mean, we could just do a whole day on that topic. So I heard you say there was another place you wanted to go as well. So.
I was just thinking about the some of the reviews that I mentioned earlier on. The spiritual growth ball buster. There was another one. Oh, the Kendra the ass kicker, and those are and direct. Those have been characteristics of leaders who traditionally of a more masculine nature. Yes. Anything that's kind of hustle, kick ass, anything like that has been traditionally. And because I'm also noticing, and you mentioned it a little bit earlier on, how fragile women are as well. And you mentioned this when you about your trip to Nigeria and how you just said, just get over it, Kendra.
Yes.
And I do find that women can kind of get very involved with their transformational process and and let that get in the way of the kind of tenacity and directness and bull busting that you're talking about. Does that make sense?
Oh, it does. And I chuckled, of course, because this is actually also another one of my favorite topics. And, I think it takes maturity and sophistication and nuance to facilitate processes for ourselves and for one another in the sisterhood, or if you have a mentor or coach or mastermind or what have you, to really allow yourself to be humbled by the truth, to be humbled by a mirroring of you that allows you to see both the greatness and the allness and the power that you are, as well as the parts of you that might be hiding out in the shadows, or the saboteur, the part of you that's playing the victim. And so, the feminine, as you said, there's an association with the directness and all of that that's masculine. And it's true. I mean, the highest form of the divine masculine really is about a presence. And it's also true that the divine feminine likes to just get it out all on the table. The feminine is about being real, and that is messy and it's vulnerable. And what you spoke to about the processing, I have found that too. And, calling myself forward, I I too got stuck in that loop of always, I mean, I said it as part of my journey. I was always preparing to get out and strike out on my own and build that business so that I could set my own hours and I could work with whoever I wanted and I could travel around the world and that there was no limit to how much money I could make. But I have a little more therapy to do, or, just one more workshop. And that's part of the gift of, as I said, the journey to Africa, because I really could feel how costly it is to myself and to the planet to be hung up on my own imperfections, to be hung up on my own, like, what I said before. So there is a factor of allowing yourself to be led by something more than your own knowing of yourself. And yeah, I mean, this is such a great topic. This is where I'm at, both with business and with money. Okay, so this is something that you can take with you to play with. Business and money, if you so choose, can be your greatest healers. So instead of healing and then making money, healing and then having wild, awesome success in your business, as you make money, it will help you heal. As you get out and do your great work, as you publish your book, as you do your speaking to thousands of people, you will be given the salve. And it's through the action, right? This is where the marriage of the feminine and the masculine can come together. It's through the devotion of the feminine. I'm here to serve. I will do what it takes. I will show up again and again and again. And the masculine that keeps you focused, keeps you on track. And so money has been one of my greatest healers because it's revealed to me who I am. And I'll pause there because that's a great subject too.
That's
so fun.
So powerful and so refreshing in this time when there is a lot of slagging off about the masculine principle and the patriarchy and how masculine principles have caused quite a big mess. And I love how you take us back to the fact that they are both. Both have our place in this role as on our role of achievement. We can't do this work without embracing our masculine side and also our feminine side for those who are particularly driven or young women. It is this harmony. So that's very powerful, and I love that you weigh that, because I do think it's really powerful for women to hear. And I also love that you weighed that taking the action and the next step is the process. It's not when I have the perfect website, or when I figure out what my high ticket course is, or all of that. It's actually building the plane, which I'm quite an expert at, building the plane as you go along, and you don't know where the bits fit in. It's like, which bit does that fit in? It's like, I don't know, but I'm just gonna play with it. And I think that is it's something that can hold women back from taking the next step, because as we know so well, Kendra, the years go by relentlessly.
Oh yes.
And then you suddenly look back and you go, okay, I didn't, last year was actually a lot like the year before and the year before that, and nothing seems to have really shifted. So it's so refreshing to feel this vibe of drive, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with drive when it is balanced with the receptivity and the connection to our creative process and the earth. So thank you for really clarifying that. Is there anything else you'd like to add on that?
Oh, well said. Well, you know, when we return to the wisdom of the earth, you know, the earth, the elements of life, they're driven. Another way of saying is that their evolutionary impulse, the earth's evolutionary impulse, and the trees and the flowers and the animals, all the beings, the impulse, the drive, if you will, the motive is to create and to be alive. And that pulse of life, that pulse of creation, when we learn how to harness it and be deliberate in our creation with it, we bring that to wealth. We bring that to money making. I make money in partnership with the universe. I've learned how to source the elements, the universal laws, the wisdom of the earth, and channel that into the resources necessary to ensure that my mission is accomplished in this life. And as you said, you know, with the years passing, you know, I've had a number of wake up calls in my life, and a couple of really, you know, just down to the knees, dark nights of the soul. And, you know, this reckoning within myself. And I was like, I am not going to get to the end of my life and feel dissatisfied and feel regret and feel, well, what if I had done this? Or I can't believe that I didn't give myself permission to have it all. I can't believe that I bought into the notion that I'm too small to make a difference. And I do feel, because of the conditioning that we've had, part of what we are undoing and we're healing from is the impressions that were put into us as very young girls, that we don't matter, that we can't take up space, that, you know, you're being too much, you're too opinionated. I was told that as a little girl, you know, and she's like, oh, she's so opinionated, she's so clear. And I learned that was, oh, I guess I'm not supposed to do that to belong to the tribe, right? And so, you know, taking up space is an integral part of, you know, you're reconnecting with your birthright to wealth. And then as you wake up to the spaces within you and harness all of this source energy, universal law, wisdom of the earth, and this is a part of the feminine, is it's just given to you. It really is. We are meant for the magic and the moolah and the grace and the fortune to be poured unto us as goddesses, right? But it's not about becoming so passive. And again, this is why we need to heal our relationship with the masculine. I found that some of that over processing that you spoke to before, Jenny, is because women can be so in their feminine. And, you know, one of the initiations that I've had from my mentor is in her lineage around the river. And, you know, she started as a pioneer in the 80s, taking women into the wilderness. And so last year we took a group of leading women down the river, and such powerful teaching. And, you know, if we use the river as the metaphor, you know, the current of the river, the water of the river is the feminine, and then the banks, the shores, the form is the masculine. And if that feminine doesn't have any form to it, if it doesn't have any of the banks to hold it, to contain it, it doesn't have the same potency. It doesn't take us somewhere. So we need both. And again, I'll pause there. So juicy, so good.
But I just had a massive download, by the way.
Oh, good. Downloads.
Massive. Yes, absolutely massive download, an insight. I've just been, I'm gonna hold on to that one and play with it, because it was wonderful. So I'd just love to come on to this, because I think this is a really important thing that people need to hear right now, that ladies need to hear right now. You mentioned it. You just mentioned it about being too small to make a difference.
Yes.
And in this time when, you know, it is obvious that we're in just a disruptive era, as so many catastrophes, so much heartache, so much shift, just like shifting sounds. The world is it feels really volatile, and women can feel that just doing the work they're doing is not enough, that they're not big enough, you know. So talk to them about the possible futility that they can feel about being or feeling small, and what it means when they step up, when we step up to our light, what it means on a bigger scale and in consciousness.
Yes. Oh, such a great question. I love how you framed that. And it is significant. Well, here's what I believe, and I always share, you know, you can take or leave anything I have to say. I imagine if you allow yourself to be receptive right now, there would be at least one aha or revelation that you can take from this co-creation and this transmission that we're all sharing. And so what I believe is that you were born for a time such as this, and that each one of us have an imprint or a DNA or a design of our soul that lives within our cellular and our soulier knowing. Now, to answer this question, I feel it's important for us to address one of the main constructs that's been alive on this planet, and depending on the culture that you've been in, I mean, I know being, you know, living in the American culture, this is very, very true and prominent, which is an approach, a paradigm of separatism. So we're all separate. And that's been a part of the dominating force of the patriarchy that's led to what's happening right now. I mean, everything is falling apart, and that's terrifying, and it's heavy and it's scary, and we can feel, especially if you're sensitive and empathic and intuitive, which I know you all are. You know, I just last night, I had another good cry because I am feeling the grief. Yeah. As I tune into, you know, the losses and what we encounter in this human domain. And so the feminine is such a great ally in this journey, because she's like, feel it, just open your heart, be vulnerable. And my success in business, again, going back to the longevity, in part is because I care so deeply. I care. And so when I've been shut down, when I pretend, when I put on the mask, when I keep my armor up, I can't contribute as much, because I can't access that deep well in my womb that will do what it takes to show up and help and do my part. Now, in terms of, I love the word you used, Jenny, the futility. I remember hearing a quote once, and it's kind of silly, but it really proves the point. It says that if you think that you're too small to make a difference, try to sleep in the room with a mosquito. Have you heard that, Warren? Yes. Again, it's so silly, but I remember hearing it, and I thought, here's this weeny, teeny little thing, right? And the annoyance of like, you know, and it keeps you awake, right? And some of us are here to be annoying. I'm one of those people. I'm a rebel. I'm an instigator. You know, I remember someone hiring me once, and she said, Kendra, I just want to hire you so that you just, you know, call me on my stuff. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. But we need those who trigger and who stir the pot. And so just stay with me here, because I know I'm connecting a lot of parts. So if we go back to this principle of believing that we are separate, that's where competition comes from, an unhealthy, dysfunctional competition. That's where we create systems, money systems, that keep the haves and the have-nots at such a big gap. That's where we have, you know, elite pockets of people who are keeping systems that put others in a slavery system, right? So the true principle of life, when we return, we remember to the cellular knowing within ourselves that is a part of the earth, that is a part of the feminine essence, is that we get that the true paradigm is interconnectedness. We are a part of a web. We are part of the whole. And so when we set aside this dysfunctional belief system of separatism, and we get that I am a part of you, you are a part of me, I'm just a voice right now of something that's alive in you. You'll see something, you'll remember something that's you because of just the mirror that we are holding, that's Jenny's holding for you. So when I return to this greater knowledge, this higher truth, I know that being the fullest, most empowered, sovereign version of myself, that yes, includes joy and pleasure, health, yeah, all of it, that truly is the drop, the ripple of an effect on this planet that is the most potent medicine. You being the most alive, wealthy, rich, prosperous, juicy, filled up well version of yourself is the medicine this planet needs right now. It really is. Yeah.
We are definitely singing from the same hymn sheet on that one. That
I love that.
That is my message. That is the message that
Yes.
I share to women to and encouraging them to reach for their own preeminence. So I love that you really just made it so relevant for answered my question for them, and made it so relevant for our times. Is whatever's happening is just show up for your highest life. And that is the work. That is the healing work. It really is the healing work.
Yes. It really is the healing work.
It is.
Absolutely. So, I have permission. I deserve it. I'm worthy of it. Yes.
So as we come to the end of this episode, Kendra, what's your vision, impulse? What part of the impulse do you see for this year, for this time that we're in? What when we struck New Year, what was like here around you?
That's a fun question. Well, my vision and my knowingness is an ideal. I really give myself and am devoted to the ultimate vision, which is each and every one of you, each of every one of us is thriving and flourishing without exception. I know that as difficult as these times are, as confronting as they are, that in a way it seems as though things are worse. But that is an element of what the shadow brings. The feminine is bringing it all out. And so while it feels like we might be going backwards, I'm here to assure you, if not remind you, that the best truly is yet to come. And we needed these times. We needed to see the ugly and the awful, and those places even within ourselves. That's like, wow, I am that too. I am that judger. I am that persecutor. And so one of the things I invite you to, as because I know we need to close up here, the time has gone so fast, is to familiarize yourself with, dance with, and give a loving embrace to the parts of yourself that you have thought cannot be a part of your business success. No, not her. No, not that part. It's in the wholeness and the weaving of it all that you will reach heights of success and performance and achievement that you've never touched before. Yeah.
That is a really blessed thing to say. I was going to ask you what invitation or message that you have, and I think that is the perfect one. So we are going to share all of your links, resources, wherever somebody's watching this. What is the best way for people to come and be part of this wealthy goddess revolution? Is it Facebook? What is the best way for women to come draw near to this, this energy and this and your sisterhood?
Thank you. It's such a joy to come together in this good way, and I would love to continue the journey if that resonates with you. Yeah, I do have a group on Facebook, and yet I know that things are ever changing within these systems and platforms. I do have a Wealthy Goddess Revolution there. I invite you to join us. Also, I really would love it if you would receive the gift of my 3 keys to making money being you. As Jenny said, the link will be available there. That's an ebook that was born of my own trials and tears and tribulations, and really to live into one of my highest messages, which is that you can make money being you. And the more authentic and the more in integrity you are with yourself, the more prosperous you will be. So download that book. I walk through even more of these principles and how they can apply to your own success and business building. Yes.
Okay, I think you can be wealthy being you needs to echo over the airwaves. So that is the perfect place to conclude this conversation. And I definitely think that we've just opened something. So we'll find other ways to share our resources, and definitely we're going to be exploring that. Meanwhile, you've had the invitation. You've heard it, ladies. You've heard it from somebody who is the proof of the pudding. He definitely is. And this is the thing that you needed. You came and watched this and listened to this at this time because this is the message that you needed to hear. So thank you so much, Kendra, for being such an angel of this wisdom that we all need to hear, that women need to hear right now. Thank you so much for sharing that and being it with such passion and such beauty and such big earrings.
Love it. Thank you.